Today we'll be wrapping up the regular season here in year number 2 of the Golden State Warriors franchise here on NBA 2K25. As today we look to clinch a playoff spot, get ourselves ready for another postseason run. And along with that, we've got our next prospect profile as we'll be going over more players in this year's draft class. So we've got 5 weeks of game action to cover for our Warriors, who are currently in 5th place in a very competitive Western Conference. The Spurs are likely going to be number 1. Dallas is likely going to be number 2. And then who the hell knows after that? We've got a logjam of teams from 3rd down. The Eastern Conference is going to be competitive too, but a lesser kind of competitive because the East is nowhere near as good as the West. The number 1 seeded Raptors would be in 8th place in our conference. And the 3 seeded Heat, I don't think would be in the play-in entirely, which is insane to think about. We would easily be number 1 in this conference. Can they switch us over to the East? I know we're like the westernmost team in the NBA, but pretty please? We're also going to go through our studs and duds of the year today, with this being the end of the regular season. And of course, the Google forms to both of those are in the description. In the last episode, we saw LeBron's debut as a Celtic, but that was overshadowed by this. Antoine Salice, the rookie, scored 58 points. To this point in the year, that was the most points scored by anybody in the league. Anthony Edwards broke the mark a few weeks later. But Salice ties Wilt Chamberlain for the most points in a game by a rookie ever, while breaking Jamal Crawford's record for the most points off the bench ever. With how good he was, it's even more impressive that we found a way to lose that game to Boston. But keep in mind, we had a lot of guys who were hurt. Jonathan Kuminga re-injured his hip later in the episode, but otherwise the team is fully healthy. We did not have Jimmy Butler, Trayce Jackson-Davis, or Adem Bona for that Boston game, along with Kuminga. Now, I do want to point out real quick that as we go into this prospect profile, of course, we have our own first-rounder this year, which is probably not going to be very high. But in the Brandon Podziemski-Ayo Dosunmu trade, we got a lottery-protected first-rounder from the Bulls in next year's draft. So obviously that won't be in this year's, but I got that pick with the idea that we could always use it as a potential trade asset. So if we want to make a big move in this year's draft, if there's a prospect we really like, I think we have the ammo to go up and get him. So because of that, I want to pay extra attention to the top of this draft, while of course keeping an eye on the back end, because that's where our first round pick will land. We went through most of these top prospects in the last episode, but there are some more guys who I'm excited to go over today, including J.D. Little from Notre Dame, who is all over the place in mock drafts. One of them has him at number 8, one of them has him at number 33, and I think that really displays who he is as a prospect, polarizing. He has been in the public eye since 11 years old, when he was taking the internet by storm with his highlights at basketball camps, becoming the next great child prodigy, if you will. And oftentimes, these child prodigies do not pan out. I feel like Julian Newman is the poster child for this. But J.D. Little has met the expectations. He rose through the high school ranks, became a 5-star prospect, he committed to Notre Dame, and he's been one of the best freshmen in the country this season. With these child prodigies, I think the best way to describe their game is flashy, and J.D. Little is no exception to this. He is a terrific shot maker who can score from everywhere on the floor. I want to see him improve off the ball. This play was a good example of his off-ball upside, which I think is certainly there. But on offense, he needs to have the ball in his hands to be successful, because he's only 6'1", 175 pounds. He's very undersized. He's not necessarily an NBA athlete per se, but he is such a gifted scorer and gifted offensive player. He has a similar hype, I would say, to Trae Young coming out of the University of Oklahoma, and I think Trae Young is a reasonable ceiling for J.D. Little. Trae Young is undersized, but he's a terrific 3-level scorer. He's a terrific shot maker. He's a terrific passer. That all panned out in the NBA, but oftentimes these undersized, skilled guards don't pan out in the NBA because they're not big enough, and they just don't have enough other skills other than their scoring. So that's going to be the question for J.D. Little. Will he be able to either A, overcome his flaws by being such a good offensive player, or add more to his game, be a more consistent playmaker, be able to be a valuable piece on offense without the ball, and maybe even be an asset defensively? Nonetheless, I think it's fair to say that all eyes will be on J.D. Little as he enters the NBA, and I'm curious to see if this once highly touted 12-year-old turns into a good pro. After him, there are some intriguing players here projected in the late lottery. We went through a number of these guys in the last episode, including Starling, Kingsley, Loggins, Burrell. But below them, there are a few guys who I feel like their stocks have been on the rise, and if they fall a little bit, could be on our radar. Ikeka Kapule from Hawaii is first up. The Rainbow Warriors have multiple prospects in this year's draft who could go in the first round. With Kapule, he's a 6'9" forward who I think is a really good scorer from within 15 feet. Needs to improve the three-point shot, but the shooting mechanics are definitely there. I like what he provides defensively as well. Tough, physical, strong, athletic, and I think he's got some upside running the floor. He can handle the ball a little bit. He's a solid playmaker, and I think his all-around game will really intrigue some teams in the range of pick 15 or so. Laramie LeBleu is a fun guard hailing from France, another undersized player like J.D. Little coming in at only 6'1". I don't think he's the shot maker that Little is, and he certainly does not have the wow or pizzazz factor that Little does to his game. But being an international prospect, I think he's a little bit more fundamentally sound. I think he's a little bit more consistent. His basketball IQ is a little bit higher than Little, and I think because of that, his floor is probably better than that of J.D. Little, but I don't think he's got that Trae Young type ceiling, if you will. Kajai Stokes from Marquette. I really like this kid's game. He's a 6'5" combo guard who's a tough physical defender and a consistent, efficient scorer who is a major threat offensively in the half court with his ability to stretch the floor, drive to the basket, and play make. I don't think he's some great offensive player, but I think he's a pretty good scorer across the board. I think he's going to be more of a two-guard at the next level, but he can run the point. His defense is what's most exciting, though, and I think Drew Holiday is an awesome comparison for him in the sense that Drew is a good offensive player. He really doesn't have many weaknesses on that side of the floor, but his calling card is defense. Stokes is going to be one of the best defenders, in my opinion, to come out of this draft. Amari Tate from Kansas is up next. The Jayhawks, of course, had 5 picks in last year's draft, and I don't think that'll be the case again this year, with Tate being the top projected Jayhawk off the board. He's a little bit small. I don't think he's quite as compact or physically built as a guy like Kajai Stokes, but I think he's pretty much just as good offensively as a scorer. I think he's a little bit better of a playmaker than Stokes is, but defensively, I think the two of them are far apart. I think that's the biggest difference in their games. But I think he's a little bit more consistent offensively. I think he's a little bit better of a shot maker. And if you're looking for somebody with solid offense, solid defense, really solid all around, I think Amari Tate is your guy. Khalil Griffin II from the University of Tennessee. This name is going to sound very familiar if you were here last year for the Blazers series. I think the best way to describe his dad's game is that he was really, really good at quite literally everything. Khalil Griffin I was a dynamic three-level scorer who was one of the most efficient scorers in the league from quite literally the second he got drafted. He can play with his head above the rim, and he's also got a sniper from deep. He's a terrific defender. He can guard the 1 through the 5. On one possession, you'll find him banging with the big boys. On the other end, he'll handle the ball, run the offense, and get his teammates involved. Not to mention, he was one of the best rebounders in the league as well. I don't think his son is the perfect player, unlike his dad really was. I don't think Khalil Griffin II has the outside shot that his pops does. I don't think he has the playmaking that his dad does. We often forget that Khalil Griffin Sr. averaged around 7 assists per game in his heyday, despite being the third playmaking option on that Blazers team. But I do think there are some similarities between these two guys, even though Junior is a little bit worse on both sides of the ball. I think he's just as good of a finisher around the basket as his dad. I think he's just as good of a defender on the perimeter. I don't think he matches up with bigs quite as well, even though he's built a little bit bigger and stronger than his dad was. Both guys were also terrific rebounders as well. Junior averages 8.5 boards per game this year at Tennessee, which is more than his dad did in his freshman season with the Vols. Let's move on to these guys projected in the 20s now. We'll start with Noah Longley, the Australian big man. This is somebody who primarily plays within 15 feet of the basket on both ends of the floor. He's a good scorer in that range. He's a good interior defender. Doesn't really have much of a perimeter presence, which isn't ideal in today's league. But he's athletic enough to where it's not that much of a problem. I think he can run the floor enough. He can run the rim. He can guard multiple positions. And I do think he'll be a good enough fit for today's league. Evangelista Izquierdo from UCLA is a jack-of-all-trades, master of none. He's not really good at everything like Khalil Griffin was, but he's pretty good at just about everything. A solid scorer from all three levels. He can defend multiple positions. I think he's got a pretty good feel as a playmaker. I would say he's a good but not great athlete. Overall, I think this is someone who's going to be a really good role player, and for a winning team who needs a missing piece, he can fill just about any mold that you need. Keon Walker, the big man from Maryland, is a very intriguing player here. Very strong possession here, you'll see defensively, although that is his weakness. I want to see him be a little bit more consistent on that end of the floor, but I think he's a solid enough rim protector. He can't really run the floor. He's not the most fleet of foot, but he can really shoot it. This is somebody who can space the floor, dynamic three-point shot. He's an older prospect, going to be 22 years old at the time of the draft, a 4-year player with the Terps who's really put it all together as a senior, likely a first-team All-American, and should have Maryland as one of the favorites in this year's tournament. For a 6'10", eighth three-point grade center who can play some defense, you'd think he probably belongs in the lottery. There are some character concerns with him, and that has slipped him down the board a little bit to the end of the first round. Nonetheless, I think with the right coaching staff and the right group of veterans, some team will be able to get the most out of him as a really strong two-way player. Dylan Koskowski from Gonzaga is the last player we'll look at today. An energetic two-level player who, as you can see on this possession, gets the steal. He's in for the assist. He's inconsistent, though. I think that's his number one overall weakness. He has some games that make you go, wow, this kid might be a top 10 pick. And he's got other games where you think, this guy's going to be working at Burger King in 2 years. Put the fries in the bag, bro. But I do think there's some real upside there. And if he can just be more consistent on a game-by-game basis, I think he could be looking at a really good player. Let's update these mock drafts now. Keep in mind some of these picks and teams are not accurate. I'll make sure they're accurate before the draft. For instance, the Blazers pick, they own it. They're unprotected. They will get their choice. But for the most part, there's not a lot of drama, at least at the very top of the draft. The Sporting News has us getting J.D. Little from Notre Dame. Boy, that would be a lot of fun. I'm not sure if he falls to 26. 2 of the 3 mock drafts do have him dropping that far, though, so it is possible. Same number 1 with Everest McLeon out of Michigan. Same number 2 with Silly Novikov from Russia. I don't think there's going to be much drama with those choices, as they have us picking Maximus Augustine. He's 23 years old, currently playing in the NBL. I do like his skill set. We might go over him next time around. As for NBA.com, again, not a ton of drama at the top with those top 3 spots. Shavonte Fitzgerald from Creighton right now seems like the clear number 3 pick. They have us picking Demarius Robinson from Iowa State. Last time around, we looked at his teammate, Roman Loggins-Burrell, who I think is really good, probably going to be a lottery pick. But Robinson's not too much worse. Another guy who we might look at the next time we go over prospects, which will be after the season, after the playoffs. That's where our focus is now on with this team as we try to get through these next 5 weeks. And we're going to take it 1 week at a time. Jonathan Kuminga is back. So now our team in its current form is fully healthy for the first time. And over this next month, I'm kind of treating this as the pre-playoffs. I think this is going to be our playoff rotation. We're going to roll with these 9, and we're going to treat these games like the playoffs. We only went 1-2 this week, though. Jimmy Butler's been hooping, though, averaging over 25 since the All-Star break. And look how good he's been doing really since December. He started the year off slowly, but over the last few months, he has been on a tear. Miles Turner, another guy who I want to give a lot of credit to. I've been hard on him, especially offensively this year, but he has gotten a lot better since the new year. Through the first 3 months of the year, he wasn't really scoring the ball, inefficient from 2, under 30% from 3, but since January, he has been a new man on the offensive end of the floor. His efficiency's been really solid. His three-point shot has been getting better and better throughout the year. That's a big deal come playoff time. We need him on his A game because there are some great big men here in the Western Conference. With those 2 losses, though, we moved down to 5th. currently slated to play the Nuggets in the first round. And this week with 4 games is going to be a lot harder. The Cavs, Raptors, and Wolves are all quite good, and the Clippers just beat us, so you never know. We ended up going 2-2. We beat Cleveland. We beat the Wolves. That's pretty cool. Apparently, we can't get by the Clippers, but we were able to get the best of Minnesota. Despite a big game from Anthony Edwards, the rest of the team was horrific. Some really, really bad shooting days. Bones Highland, 2 for 15. Jalen McDaniels was like 2 for 9. Rudy Gobert was 2 for 7. Rob Dillingham was 2 for 10 from deep. We're still in 5th. We're about to clinch a play-in spot, now a couple games behind the Nuggets, who we will see this week. We're going to simulate up to that matchup, so we'll start with these 3 against Phoenix, Dallas, and Brooklyn. Not an easy stretch. We end up winning 2 of the 3, and we go up to 4. Jonathan Kuminga with a big game here against the Suns. He's been playing well since his injury. We lost to Dallas, understandably so. They're in 2nd place. And we kept the game relatively close, so it's hard to complain. We only lost by 6 to the number 2 seed on a back-to-back. I don't think I'm going to play this game against the Nuggets, though, because as it stands now, there's a good chance we're going to see them in the playoffs. So if that's the case, I'd rather wait until the next episode. I think I'm going to simulate to this matchup against the Rockets. And this next week or so is going to be a big test for us. 4 road games against 4 playoff teams. So up to the Rockets game, we end up going 2-1 with 3 very close games. I'm more than happy with 2-1 here because the Nuggets are a championship contender, although Antoine Saliz shot a tour date. It's been a rough month of March for him. He's had an inconsistent rookie year. We've seen the ups, we've seen the downs. We lost to Memphis. I just don't think our team matches up very well with the Grizzlies. I do not want a playoff series with them because I worry that their athleticism and energy is going to be way too much for us. We would win the next game, though, against Minnesota, another team we have a very real shot of seeing in the first round. I think they're currently in 6th as of now, but could easily climb up to 5th. Curry's been playing well. We had a good game out of Antoine Saliz. And now with just 5 games to go, we're currently in 4th in the Western Conference, which would set us up for a matchup in round 1 with Denver, where we would have home court advantage. We still have some work to do to guarantee ourselves a playoff spot. We're 3 games ahead of the 7th seed. So with 5 games to go, we should be fine, but you never know. The Rockets are a team who is fighting for their play-in lives. I think they're currently in 9th. Of course, they made the big move to add De'Aaron Fox at the deadline, pairing him with their talented young core. They will be without both Malik Monk and Grady Dick today. I'm not sure why, but Reed Shepherd, who's been banged up, will go. So they're losing some depth with Monk and Dick, but they will have Reed Shepherd, the talented second-year guard from the University of Kentucky. The Rockets have fiercely been adding assets over the last few years, looking to make some big moves. And they feel like they have done that by acquiring De'Aaron Fox at this year's deadline from Sacramento. Fox is on the final year of his contract. He'll be an unrestricted free agent this summer, but the Rockets feel very confident that they'll be able to give him an extension, pairing him up with young guys such as Alperen Şengün, Amen Thompson, Cam Whitmore, Reed Shepherd, as I mentioned earlier. Tari Eason as well is a really good player at the 4. So even though they've missed on some draft picks like Jalen Green and Jabari Smith, they've landed De'Aaron Fox with some of these assets, and they feel good about their team going forward as they look to get themselves into the play-in tournament this year. Curry looking for Miles Turner, but it's ripped away and stolen by Alperen Şengün. Here comes the Rockets. Cam Whitmore with the slam. The third-year forward from Villanova gets the scoring started here in this one. Amen Thompson with it inside for Fox. Good play off the ball to get himself open inside. And a rough start for the Warriors, already trailing 6-0 within a couple of minutes of this game. Butler, pump fake on the drive, throws up the layup over Whitmore, and it's good. And the Warriors are finally on the board. Fox, step back jumper is no good. Şengün with the offensive rebound. I don't know why he didn't go for the shot inside, but instead Eason over to Whitmore. Step back, 3-ball is good. Cam Whitmore connects on the triple. He's off to a quick start with 5. And the Rockets are looking good here early. Butler in the corner. Curry for 3. That one is good. I think a big reason why the offense has struggled so far is it feels like the ball has barely been in Steph's hands. Maybe we should use our best player a little bit more. Whitmore off the screen. Hits another 3. Cam Whitmore has gotten busy here in this first quarter. Jimmy Butler, who's an all-NBA defender, is his matchup. And Cam Whitmore is having himself a start as Jonathan Kuminga connects on the corner 3. Kuminga's been super banged up since January, but when he's played, he's been playing really well as of recent. Fox snuffed at the rim by Myles Turner. Here come the Warriors. Turner inside. Kuminga with the slam, and the lead is within 1. Good job by Golden State to respond off of the hot start by Whitmore, who doesn't appear to be done as he gets the screen from Thompson. That one is good. 11 points for Cam Whitmore, 3 of 4 from deep, and it's 16-12. Turner guarded by Whitmore. That's a mismatch. Somebody's going to be open with the double, and it's Jimmy Butler who connects on the triple. And now our offense, after a rough first couple of minutes, has really fired it over the last few. Alperen Sengun inside. That one is good. Makes the hook shot over Myles Turner. And it's 18-15. Curry with the crossover on Fox. Drives left side. Layup is good. And the lead is back within 1. That was a filthy play by Stephen Curry, as it's 18-17. Curry and the Warriors looking for the lead. Kuminga inside, intercepted by Amen Thompson, who's having a really good third season. Inside for Anthony Simons. He makes the layup. We know Simons quite well from the Blazers series. He is a spark plug and can get hot at any given moment. Opens up for 3. That one is good. With Whitmore out of the game, Anthony Simons is picking up where he left off with 5 early points as Trayce Jackson-Davis is in for the slam, grabbing his own miss. Great play by the big man, and it's 23-19. Thompson looking for Sengun. He's got the mismatch with Ayo Dosunmu. Shot is no good, though. What a play inside by Dosunmu to get the stop. And then on the other end, Ayo's got it, guarded by, it looks like, Simons. Looking for the screen from Adembona. Dosunmu for 3. It's good. The best offense is good defense. Ayo with the stop, hits the triple on the other end, and the lead is within 1. Simons is blocked. Trayce Jackson-Davis with the snuff. Here comes the Warriors looking for the lead. Kuminga on the drive, and it's stripped away. Amen Thompson with the steal, and here comes the Rockets. Simons' jumper is good, and it's a 3-point game. As we know with Simons, he's a terrific scorer, terrific offensive player, but as good as he is on offense, he's equally bad on defense. I'm excited to see how Ayo can do matching up with him as he gets some space, hits the triple. Simons is in the double figures already as Curry has it inside. That one is no good. Nice defense by Reed Sheppard, and here comes the Rockets. Sheppard has it, open in the corner. Guess who? Anthony Simons, who connects on the triple. 13 bench points already for Simons. Him and Whitmore have more points than the entire Warriors team combined. Curry's 3 is no good. Rockets looking to add to their 10-point margin. Simons with it. Pull-up jumper, no good. Ayo with the rebound, throws it up. Actually hit the rim, that's impressive. That'll wrap up the first quarter. Anthony Simons and Cam Whitmore have 24. The Warriors only have 22. This feels like the Celtics game from the last episode, but the opposite. 2 guys carrying an entire offense. It's just that instead of it being our team, it's happening against us as Dosunmu hits the corner 3. Butler with it, looking for the screen for Myles Turner. Midi is on the way, and it is good. Nice shot there by Jimmy Butler. And the Warriors are looking to take a crack into this deficit here early in the second. Simons open, wants another 3, and it rattles out. An unlucky bounce for Anthony Simons. Ball don't lie, though. On the other end, here's Ayo Dosunmu inside. Myles Turner with the throwdown over John Collins. 35-29 now. Sheppard over to Whitmore. He's got it in the corner for guess who? Anthony Simons, who connects again. This is the first time that both Simons and Whitmore have been on the floor together, and I am terrified of what the 2 of them might be able to do to us. Healed in the corner. Myles Turner for 3. Again, it's good to see Myles Turner continuing to really shoot the ball well over the last couple of months. 38-32. Whitmore with it, guarded by Jimmy Butler on the drive with the throwdown. Cam Whitmore's outside shot is what's been most impressive with him today, but he can really drive to the basket. Good finisher, explosive athlete at the rim. 40-34, got to give us credit for staying in this game, though, as Simons gets that one over Buddy Hield. And Anthony Simons continues his unbelievable start. 42-34, here's Myles Turner with it inside. Over Sengun, no good. Nice defense by the 5th-year big man from Turkey, and the Rockets are moving fast. Whitmore with it inside, he's doubled. To the outside, Anthony Simons with it in the corner. ISO ball, lobs it up! The dunk is no good for Whitmore. Nearly a highlight play for the Rockets, who keep possession, as Sengun misses the layup, gets his own miss. Whitmore, I'm surprised he didn't take that shot. There is not a shot on the floor that Cam Whitmore doesn't like tonight, except for when he's wide open, I guess. Shepard gets a good look, though. He hits the three. We were so focused on stopping the screen and Simons, who would have been wide open, that we leave Reed Shepard unaccounted for as Kuminga makes the contested layup. Nice play there on the drive. 45-36. Shepard with it, guarded by Celis. He's off to a quiet start. Out to Simons. There's another one. And Furno is in fuego. 23 points. Make it 26 for Simons. He is unguardable. And that's 26 points off the bench. He saw Antoine Celis break the bench points in a game record and says, I'm going to try to one-up that, as Steph Curry hits the step-back mid-range jumper, 51-40. Butler with it on the drive. That one is blocked at the rim by John Collins. Here comes Houston. Simons with it. Pull-up jumper. He cannot miss. This is like that one playoff game in the Blazers series last year where I think he had 27 and a quarter. This is what it feels like to be on the other end of it, and let me tell you, it's not fun. As Steph Curry hits the three, he's got 15 tonight, having a good game. As Simons gets the defensive stop on the drive from Dosunmu, and here comes Simons looking for 30, but he's blocked! Trace Jackson-Davis sends it into the seats. A denial for Trace, and finally Simons is out of the game for the first time since halfway through the first quarter. Thank God, as Trace Jackson-Davis sends down the hammer on Reed Shepard. 57-49, under a minute left in the first half. Dosunmu with it over to Curry. He's got Celis on the drive with the throwdown. Powerful dunk by the rookie Antoine Celis as it's 51-57. Kuminga looking for the screen. On the drive, layup is good. Nice play by Kuminga. He's got 9 points. He's hit some nice shots here in this first half as the shot clock is now unplugged. De'Aaron Fox with it on the drive. Ooh, nice move. Jumper is good for Fox. He's had a rough one, though. He's only made a couple so far in this game. Curry's done a good job with him defensively. Final seconds of the first half. Celis for three. It is no good. A competitive one here in H-Town. 59-53. The Rockets lead the Warriors. The story of this game, though, was the first 5 minutes where Cam Whitmore could not miss. And then Anthony Simons took it from there. Simons has 28 points here in the first half. And again, we now know that the bench points record in a game is Antoine Celis, who had 58 against the Celtics. Anthony Simons currently on pace for 56, so he's right there. Can we expect him to hold pace? No, probably not. Hopefully not, or else that means something went horribly wrong. But you never know. As Cam Whitmore gets back to business here in the third, connects on the triple, 15 points in the first half for Whitmore. As Buddy Hield gets it over to Jonathan Kuminga in the corner. Too much space for Wardell Stephen Curry II as he hits the triple. And even with Whitmore and Simons being unguardable, again, we're staying in the game as De'Aaron Fox hits the three. Lead now up to 11 for the Rockets. Here comes Curry with it. He is guarded tightly by Fox. Sends it in the corner to Alperen Sengun, who has the interception. And here comes Houston. Eason Thompson with the slam. I don't think it's a stretch to say that Amen Thompson might be the most impressive athlete in the entire league. Given his size, his speed, his jumping ability, he is the total package. Pause. As Buddy Hield hits the three off the catch, 10-point game. Fox on the drive, layup is good, and he's starting to heat up after a slow start, getting into the groove of things now. 75-63, Whitmore with it, backs up, looking for some space. Butler closes out, but it's too late. Cam Whitmore hits the triple, and it's a 15-point game. Butler now with it. On the drive, layup is good, and it's a 13-point lead. Butler cuts the gap. He's got 14. Butler has it back now on the drive, open lane. He gets the layup, draws the foul, and one. And Coach Steve Kerr appears to be pleased as the lead is within 10. Is that who I think it is back in the game? Anthony Simons right back to work, hits the triple. Simons got banged up late in the first half, though, so that'll be something to monitor as he is back in the game, looking to battle through injury now with 31 points. Ayo Dosunmu hits the triple. He's got an efficient 11. Ayo's shot the ball well since the trade. Obviously, his efficiency was rough this year with the Bulls, but he's playing a lot better as Trace Jackson-Davis denies Thompson inside. Dosunmu to the rookie, Antoine Celis, who makes the layup, and it is an 8-point deficit late in the third quarter. Dosunmu guarded by Saric. That, my friends, is barbecue chicken. but Ayo misses the layup. Ayo Dosunmu's been a good addition for us, but he misses 1 or 2 easy layups every game. It's such a pain as the lob is unsuccessful. On the other end, Salis on the drive makes the layup, and the lead is within 6. Again, got to give us credit for staying in this game with how well Whitmore and Simons have been hooping as Dosunmu hits the long 2. Nice shot. It is a 4-point game now. And then Thompson with the and 1 slam. A major momentum boost potentially for the Rockets, who needed it quite badly. 7-point game. Dosunmu, no good. Nice defense there inside by John Collins. Here comes the Rockets. It's Reed Shepherd with it inside for Cam Whitmore. Pump fake, layup is good. And with Simons banged up, Whitmore has taken the scoring load here in the third quarter. And it's a 9-point ball game now with 8 seconds to go. Warriors looking for some points here before the end of the third. Curry dribbles out the clock, looking for the screen. They're not going to let him get open. Heaves it up, and it's good! Steph Curry beats the buzzer despite really good man defense by Reed Shepherd. It's a 7-point game going into the fourth quarter, even with Anthony Simons and Cam Whitmore torching this defense. This game is close because pretty much everybody else on the Rockets has been kind of disappointing. Very much like us in the Boston game where Curry and Salis were incredible. And everybody else didn't bother showing up as Salis misses the step-back 3. On the other end, Whitmore layup is good. And the lead sits at 11. 91-82, Kuminga with it. Didn't score in the third. His efficiency is tanked in this game as it's stripped away and stolen. Cam Whitmore ends up with it in transition with the layup. And it's a 13-point lead. Salis unable to keep up. Now an 11-point game. Curry, pump fake for 3. That one is off the mark. It's been a tough start here in the fourth quarter. Golden State with no field goals made through 2.5 minutes. As Simons connects on the triple yet again. 14-point lead now. Salis open 3. Clank. 0 for 6 from the field. 0 for 3 from deep to start the fourth is Golden State. Here's Collins with it. Makes the layup. Draws the foul. Flex on him. And 1. And the lead is at 17 now. Going to be a tough one here the rest of the way for the Warriors. They need to hit some shots quick. Okay, how come we missed all those open shots to start the quarter and then Buddy Hield throws up some junk and it falls? I mean, I'm not going to complain that that shot went in, but you know what? I'm going to try to stop making sense of it as De'Aaron Fox is in for the throwdown. 102-88. Clock is continuing to tick. If we want to make a comeback, it's got to start now. Antoine Salis hits the triple. He's got 9. Starting to heat up a little bit. 102-91. Here is Thompson with it, guarded by Salis. Throws it up, and it's good. I don't think there's much more Salis could have done there. Great job of guarding without fouling. Thompson just throws it up and gets really lucky as Collins is in for the dunk. 15-point lead here for the Rockets. I don't think the comeback is going to happen. We're going to have to start throwing some shots up at this point. As Salis gets the screen, gets a good look from 3, and he hits the corner triple. 12-point game now with 4 minutes to go. Tari Eason with it on the wing. Inside, Fox, layup is good, even with Turner and Hield closing out very quickly. Salis with it, guarded by De'Aaron Fox on the drive. Pull-up jumper is good, rattles in. There aren't many more shots that are more automatic than Antoine Salis from mid-range. 15-point game, though, with around 2 minutes to go. Salis jacks up a 3, and it's good. Antoine Salis is on fire here in this quarter. He's got 17 points, and he does not look to be done. Layup is no good, though. I guess I spoke too soon. And here comes the Rockets now looking to put some icing on the cake as Fox connects with Tari Eason for the layup. And it's a 14-point lead for Houston with under a minute and a half to go. Butler hands it off to Curry. Unfortunately unable to get open, but he finds Salis. Jacks up a 3, and it's good. 16 points in the fourth quarter for Antoine Salis. He has turned it on, much like he did late in the Boston game, as he's open for 3, and it's off the mark. If we wanted any chance for the comeback, I think we needed to make that shot. Salis tries to go for the ball. He's unsuccessful. Whitmore now has it on the screen from Sengun. Mid-range jumper is good, and if this game wasn't already over, I think we can call this one wraps. 118-106. The Rockets take this one here at the Toyota Center over Golden State. This was a game where Houston had control the entire way. We did not lead once in this matchup, and I give us credit. We were able to stay in the entire way, but Houston was in the driver's seat from start to finish, and a big reason for that was Anthony Simons and Cam Whitmore. Those are the two guys who won them this game. Simons did not end up breaking the bench points record. They didn't use him that much in the second half because he was hurt, but both him and Whitmore had well over 30 points each. Curry with 24. He had a good game. Probably should have shot the ball more, to be honest. Jimmy Butler was solid. He had 21. Antoine Salish was on fire in the fourth. He kept us in it at the end. 16 of our team's 25 in the final quarter. I thought Io played pretty well, but Jonathan Kuminga did not have a good game. And then the defense was a disaster. 36 for Simons, 34 for Whitmore, and both of them shot the ball really well. But the rest of the Rockets kept us in the game. De'Aaron Fox with a rough outing, 7 of 20 from the field, 1 of 7 from deep. Thompson was all right, Sengun was all right, but it was really those two, Simons and Whitmore, combining for 70 points. And ultimately, they'll get the job done. As we get set for the final week of the year, we fall back into 5th place. But the key is, of course, to finish in the top 7. So I simulated up to the Oklahoma City game, and basically, the Thunder, who are in 7th place, are the team to beat. If we win this game, we're in the playoffs, and it looks like we're taking care of business pretty easily, winning by 29, 151 points, 5 players with at least 20, and there you go. It is official. Despite Miles Turner shooting a tour date and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scoring 44, it's official. No play-in tournament for us. The Golden State Warriors are back in the playoffs. It was pretty inevitable since the start of the episode, but it's good that it's happened officially. And now we're looking to get cemented with the 4 seed. We can't move any higher. We're going to keep the same rotation. I know that we've already clinched our playoff spot, but again, I'm treating these games like the pre-playoffs. I want to get us ready for the postseason because we clearly were not ready last year. Although we lost to Charlotte, even with a great game from Antoine Salish. Jonathan Kuminga, what is that, my friend? 4 for 16 from the field, 0 for 7 from deep. And going into this last game, we're still in 4th, but not convincingly. There are 3 teams who we could play against in the first round. First priority goes to Minnesota, then Denver, then OKC. But first, we got to win this game against Boston, get the 4 seed for good. When the Celtics got LeBron at the deadline, I think they were in 4th place, and now they've dropped to 9th. I don't know how that's happened, but we end up getting the win pretty convincingly, 120-98. Kuminga with 28, 11, and 6, 21, 8, and 7 for Curry, while Antoine Salish continues to own the Celtics. And we finished 51 and 31, 4 wins better than last year, and officially the number 4 seed. And now the question is, will it be Minnesota, Denver, or OKC? So we'll start with the Timberwolves game. If they win, it will be Minnesota. They're playing against Dallas. With a win, the Mavericks lock up the 2 seed. So they have something to play for. Ended up going into overtime, but Dallas gets the win by 2. So it will not be Minnesota for us in the first round, more than likely. Now priority goes to Denver. The Nuggets still have to clinch a playoff spot to begin with, playing against the number 1 seed out east in Toronto, and the Raptors win. So now it's not going to be Denver in the first round. They will only go to the play-in tournament if OKC wins this game against Detroit. And if the Thunder win, we'll be playing them in the first round. Please God, not again. Pistons, save us. Yes! Detroit upsets the Thunder by 15. Cade Cunningham and company, thank you. So the Wolves, Nuggets, and Thunder all lose. That means that after all that, it will be Minnesota who gets the 5 seed. The Nuggets will get 6. The Thunder will get 7. And it'll be Minnesota who we get in the first round as Luka Doncic wins his 2nd consecutive MVP, leading the Mavericks to 58 wins and the 2nd seed in the Western Conference. Rookie of the Year, Miko Kapanen, the number 2 pick out of the University of Arizona. The Grizzlies were not good last year. He helps lead them to a 3 seed, having a terrific rookie year. Hard to argue with that choice. He was 2nd in rookie scoring, only behind Zachariah Rice. Had some other contenders. I don't think Antoine Salish's numbers were impressive enough outside of his scoring, though. Andre Drummond wins the 6th Man of the Year with the Lakers. Victor Wembanyama wins Defensive Player of the Year number 2. Bub Carrington of the Wizards wins Most Improved, while Greg Popovich and the Spurs sweep the Coach and Executive of the Year awards, winning 64 games, by far the best mark in the league. Here are your All-NBA teams. Unfortunately, no Steph Curry, which didn't really surprise me. He only made the 3rd team last year, averaging 29, so I figured averaging around 23.5 is not going to get him there. But he still had a really good season. Myles Turner makes the all-defensive second team, very well deserved. I like the positionless teams for the All-NBA, but I don't like it for all-defense because now it feels like guards are never going to get defensive love. Here are the all-rookie teams. Antoine Salish makes the second team. His numbers were not as impressive as the guys on the first team in terms of rebounds, assists, defense, but he was a more efficient scorer than just about all of them. I think he's a better fit than most of these guys for winning basketball. So I think he probably should have gotten some first-team consideration. A lot of very high picks there on the all-rookie team, so it's cool to see Salish, who was picked at the end of the first round, end up getting one of those spots. Here's a final look at our standings here for the regular season. Of course, again, we finish with the 4 seed, 51-31, matched up with Minnesota in the first round. The Grizzlies will play the Nuggets, and then the winners of the play-in games with Houston, OKC, the Pelicans, and Suns will have some combination at the top 2 seeds. As the Raptors win the 1 seed in the East, no 50-win teams in the East. The 2 seed only has 45 wins. The 3 seed only has 43. The Hornets, the 6 seed, are not even above 500. This conference really is a disaster. For your league leaders, Anthony Edwards is the scoring champ. We'll get to see him in round 1 of the postseason. Victor Wembanyama leads the league in rebounds. Tyrese Halliburton with the edge in assists. And then looking at some of the interesting advanced metrics, we will start things off with plus-minus. The Jazz with the bottom 4. Who's surprised? In terms of true shooting amongst qualified players, the top guys here include Tristan Da Silva, Mark Williams, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Anthony Edwards, and Zion Williamson. Estimated wins added is Luka Doncic by a landslide with over 34. While in last place, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope in Orlando. As for us, we'll start with Steph Curry, 23 points per game on good shooting splits. The volume went down, but I don't feel like he got worse from last year. It's just that we had more cooks in the kitchen. Something that was underrated about Steph's season is that he played all 82 games. Last year, we gave him some games off. He was banged up a little bit. Not this year. At 38 years old, he did not miss a single game. Jimmy Butler had a strong season, really turned it on over the last couple of months. Very efficient year. Jonathan Kuminga was banged up at times throughout the season, but I thought he played well, especially over the latter months. Antoine Salish had a terrific rookie year. Myles Turner got a lot better as the season went along, but he healed, shot the 3 ball well. Curry led the way in terms of true shooting percentage with over 64. As for estimated wins added, again, Steph Curry obviously led there with 15, Butler with 10, Kuminga and Myles Turner with over 5. Buddy Hield was pretty high, as was Adem Bona. He was equal to that of Trayce Jackson-Davis. And then Guerschon Yabusele brings up the rear. So now it's time to go through our studs and duds of the year. Most of the guys on the roster met their expectations, so I had a hard time figuring out who the 2 would be for each. But we'll start with the stud of the year. I feel like there's a pretty obvious candidate. Who could have seen this coming from Antoine Salish? For being the 22nd overall pick in this draft as a raw, score-first guard, could we have expected him to be this impactful in a positive way? Sure, he's not a great defender, he's not a great playmaker, but he did those things at an adequate enough level. And then the scoring, we saw some terrific flashes. Now, if you're looking for a downside with his game, he was not consistent, but he was reliable. All 82 games played, did not miss a single one. For a rookie, that's really impressive. But, again, very inconsistent. The true shooting percentage was up and down throughout the year. Finishes at 56, a little bit below league average. Estimated wins added at 2.6. I think a third of those came in the Boston game. But as we look month by month, again, really no consistency. But he's 20 years old. It's going to happen. He had a lot of really good games throughout the year. Not just the Boston matchup, but other games as well, where his scoring was a big reason why we won. The second spot, I think I'm going to give it to Adem Bona. We haven't really talked about him a lot in depth this season, but I feel like he really improved quite a bit here in his second season with a bigger role. And if we compare him to Trayce Jackson-Davis, I think he was the more efficient player. He played less games, he averaged less minutes, but he had the same estimated wins added as Trayce Jackson-Davis. I think he was a little bit better defensively, good enough true shooting percentage, and overall, I feel like he was one of the unsung heroes of this team. He can guard multiple positions, and at just 23 years old, I definitely think he's a guy who could be part of our long-term future. As for the dud of the year, we're actually going to start with Trayce Jackson-Davis, who was a stud of the year candidate last year. His numbers at face value don't look that much different. from a year ago. But I don't think he was as good. I think he lost a little bit offensively. I also think he was quite a bit worse on defense as well. Sure, he had a change in role with Myles Turner here, but he only played 3 less minutes per game. His true shooting percentage was around what it was last year, which is roughly average. But his estimated wins added was pretty much cut in half, largely because I thought he was a lot worse on the defensive end of the floor. I thought the 2 big lineups would really help and enhance his defense, and that really wasn't the case. As for the second spot, there are some guys I thought about. I considered Myles Turner, but part of being the dud of the year is not responding well to adversity, and I feel like Turner did do that, really turning around his season shooting-wise after a rough first few months of the year. That added on with the fact that he made an all-defensive team, I feel like he doesn't really deserve this slack. I thought about Guerschon Yabusele. He finished in last for the estimated wins added, but I feel like he's still in more to offer than Caleb Martin. And yes, Martin shot the 3-ball a lot better than he did last year, but he was still less efficient overall, could not shoot it from 2. His estimated wins added wasn't as bad as it was last year, where he was also a dud of the year candidate, but there's really nothing he does well. We had to start him at games this year because we were depleted, but since we're fully healthy going into the postseason, I don't think we're going to have to worry about Caleb Martin touching the floor. That'll wrap up the episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to vote once again down below for the studs and duds of the year. Let me know what you thought of the prospect profile along with the end of the regular season here in season number 2. And I hope you guys are excited for the first round of the playoffs against Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out.